Good day, everyone. James Hicks here from Hicks New Media. Welcome to another episode of Perspectives in Focus, where we talk about the people, the industries, and the technology that are making positive strides within society today. Today, my guest is Mr. Chris Williams. Chris is, listen, he's an entrepreneur, he's a content creator, world traveler. He's got more stamps in his passport probably than I do. I look at him as a visionary thinker as well, right? Today we're gonna take some time and we're gonna talk about turning plans into goals. Talk about making the thoughts and the desires of having a side hustle from a side hustle maybe into your main hustle. Going to talk a little bit about the work that is required to get the results that you want from life, that being professionally and that being personally. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Williams is in the building. How you doing, brother?
Man,
Come on
James,
now.
this has been a long time coming, brother.
Come on, brother.
And I almost want to apologize that it took us so long to make this happen.
Look, it's been a whole year since we got it together. But look, all good things come to those who wait, and we waited for a minute. But now is the time. Now is the time. So, brother, I appreciate you for joining. Listen, I gave a little high level pitch, but I want you to talk to my audience, talk to the folks, tell them who you are. I don't think that, I always think that people can tell their own origin story better than someone else. So I would love to just, if you could tell people out there in these streets who Chris Williams is.
For sure. I'm a father, I'm a husband to my wife, Dr. Tamara Williams. We have two boys in high school, man. My son just turned 18 on Sunday. Wow, to say out loud, he's about to graduate high school. But I had two boys, Joshua and Josiah, and man, I created and founded and the president of the World According to Chris, which is my platform where I help successfully discontent corporate professionals build and scale their side businesses faster. I've been executive training and coaching for way more than a decade or two at this point. And man, I'm just passionate about seeing people's lights go off, man, and really see them actually make positive moves. A lot of people see me always use the hashtag massive action because that's the only thing I believe in. I can't, words are great, but you got to put some action in life. And honestly, that action is typically what that dash is between the time you get here and the time that you die.
Wow.
And so I'm just trying to make sure people really maximize the time that we here, man, because life is short and nobody knows what the last day is. And I think too many of us are just wasting it. So I'm real big about leadership. I have a coaching program, and I'm just expanding. I'm learning a lot. I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but I'm always getting sharper.
Right.
So people like yourself and other people that I collaborate with, and I have certain people that I'm learning from that I have coaches. I have like 3 different coaches right now in 3 different spheres of influence, just so that I'm doing what's right. Cause I want to make sure I hit correctly. I don't want to just do stuff just cause, it's the hot thing to do. Nah, right. I want to make sure when I'm doing something that's worth the impact. So I got 2 boys following behind me now, and it's important that I'm doing legacy while I'm alive, and they ain't got to wait until I'm in a pine box to find out who I am. So
come on, man. Now you go on to that level, and I love it. These are the awkward conversations that we don't have that I like to have, and I appreciate you for getting down to that level. I'm gonna say what's happening I got Senior in the building, so I got to say what's going on. Senior's watching to make sure that I stay out of trouble. So I see you, Daddy. I appreciate you for joining me out there in these streets. Let me ask you something, though, man, because again, looking at your history from a professional perspective, you were doing a lot of corporate training already, right? You were helping people with those professional goals, those aspirations, understanding how to climb the ladder and things like that. Where does that drive come from? Why are you still doing it so hard every single day? Why are you still hustling so hard now as you do it for yourself? And what made you kind of make that leap from the corporate world to the world according to Chris, and just doing it on your own as opposed to staying within the corporate environment, in the corporate setting?
Yeah, I think it was 2 things. There was a time I was out. I'll never forget this. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. This is probably like 09. After the crash, I'm out doing a training in Jacksonville, Florida at this particular spot. And there's like 60 people coming they're supposed to come to this training. Now I'm doing like this, at that, today I look back on it, it's really just blanket training. They give you a book and you got to do about a book, right?
Right.
And I remember walking in and I'm doing this training. Never forget the moment. I walk in, a few minutes into the training, I get started and I happen to notice, right? I'm the youngest of 6 boys, no girls.
Okay.
So my foundation is observation. And I remember just looking at the room and I'm like, something's not right. I don't know what it is, but clearly, like, I could tell there was a detachment, right, from what I'm sharing versus what's in the room, right? So we took like our first break. And I would just ask somebody in the room. I was just like, hey, what's, just seems like, are you here? Is there anything going on? And they were like, well, many of us don't know if we're going to be laid off after this meeting.
Wow.
And I was like, so in my brain, it was like, hold on, I'm up here trying to deliver some content to a bunch of people who are sitting here scared.
Yeah.
Or they just don't know.
They were told
right?
they have to go to this training. They told they got to go to this training, but they don't know 20 minutes later if they're going to get that manila envelope saying this is your last day.
They don't know.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So it stuck with me. Like, that moment just stuck with me. I finished. Now, I'm there for 4 days. Mind you, the third day I'm there, the way they were doing it back then, when you came in the morning of layoffs, if you just when you got off the elevator, there's a person standing there. Your name, please go to this room. Your name, please go to that room.
Yeah.
You don't know which room it is. And I've been laid off twice, right? So I knew what that felt like. So the last day, there's like half of the people that went there started on Monday.
Man.
So I fly back, I get back home, and I remember like just having this like, well, what was the point of me doing that? Like, what was the point of going to doing this training if we could just, if that's what we're doing? Well, I talked to my manager and she said, Chris, are you like interested in like the person or like, just like, what else are you interested in? I'm like, I don't know. She said, so we just kept talking and she goes, oh, you're interested in organizational psychology. And I was like, the heck is that? Right. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that wasn't on the syllabus.
You're actually more interested. That's right. She's like, you're more interested in the person than and I'm like, okay. So I go look it up. And I know the words, but I didn't know that like that's a thing, basically, right? You know something, but don't comprehend it, right? Like so I remember I go look it up. I start finding all this information and I'm like, yo, this is fascinating. Like, oh, so there's a such thing as, neuroscience. There's a real such thing as human behavior that is impacting the way we show up at work. There's like all these layers, right? So I start diving down the doggone Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole, right? Like I'm in, and I realize, I actually like trying to figure out what makes people tick. So about 2 months later, I go back. I have to do the same training every week. I'm like flying back and forth all the time. So I go back and do this training, but this time I think I was in Minneapolis. I first asked a question to the room. And I would just ask questions about how people are. I would send emails ahead of the training. Just to like figure out like, who am I getting ready to go talk to? Right? Where are they at?
What's the dynamics of the room? I got you. Yeah.
Bruh, I started doing that and it was like, and my team, and then so eventually it was like, yeah, we don't do that. Your job is just to go in and train.
we just here like, checking boxes.
Hey, bro, that's all I was doing at the time. Wow. Honestly, that's all I was doing. So fast forward, end up learning a lot about it. And I realized that's something I was really interested in, but I didn't have an outlet to like explore this stuff until I started doing speaking opportunities.
Right. Okay.
Somebody asked me to come speak here, come do this. And then it was like, oh, you mean to tell me I can like, we can really like get into this stuff, and then I'd go learn from this person. And then eventually it just turned into like, I'm curious by nature, right? I always wanted to know like, why would somebody come to work and be disengaged, right? Why is it that there could be a manager who literally found out that this mama lost her baby in the 5th month? She knew that. That's why she was on leave. But as soon as the mama comes back, you just automatically pushing them back into what they were doing. No care, concern for the person. How do you become that person?
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm that guy. I'm that guy asking questions, right?
You looking out for both sides of the coin for the most part. You're
Both
trying to figure
sides.
out why the business is doing that, and then how and you can fix and help the individual on the other side. Okay, I hear you.
Man,
Okay.
100%. And eventually, it just was like, well, I like exploring these things, and I didn't have a platform. So then I built my podcast.
Wow.
And it wasn't called The World According to Chris at that time. It was called High Level Wisdom. Because I was on a mission to find wisdom. And so at the time it was called High Level Wisdom. And I went on a run. I went and interviewed 42 CEOs around the country.
Okay.
And I was interested in one thing, because part of the behavioral science led me to just understand the dynamics of organizations. And at that time, when I was doing that run, I got real interested in what the heck is going on with the baby boomer CEO who's about to transition. Well, all of these millennials are starting to surge through past that middle layer. They starting to come in. They come into management. They come into executive
coming in
levels,
hard
like,
too, right? Coming in hard.
And that dynamic is like, it was real,
Yeah.
right? So I was just interested. So I would call up like any CEO that would come talk to me. Like, I've talked to a guy owns March Confectionery. Shout out to Brad. Lives in California, 4th generation chocolatier. Sat down on my show. I've talked to people on art studios that's been around for decades. I've talked to marketing CEO. I ran the gambit, and I was just learning. Like, I'm just curious. And then eventually I just made the switch to, I was like, what's the broader context of what I'm after? It's just the world according to Chris. There's a way I think, and there's stuff that I'm curious about. And it's not just one thing sometimes. Sometimes it's different stuff. And I got into the leadership space and coaching because I realized there was a gap between why you want something, but you stay wanting it all your life, and the person that actually goes and does it.
Oh my goodness. Say that one more time. My goodness. Say that one more time.
There's a gap. Like, some of us are literally walking around frustrated all of our lives because we want something. But you've never done the first step to go get it.
Wake up mad and mad at Chris because he got them new shoes. Okay, come on now.
Mad at the world. Mad at everybody who's achieving. And this is the question I've been asking lately. I talked about it on my podcast recently. Why is it that on the highway of achievement of life, your dreams are the parked car on the side instead of a blur like it's supposed to be?
Ooh, come on with it, folks. We preach it tonight. Go ahead, but I like that. I really like that. That's a call to action right there for everyone who's sitting in the sofa right now. Okay. So let me ask you this, and I hate to interrupt because it's a great story so far, but here's an interesting segue. You haven't said anything thus far about your story, your origin story, that related to a financial goal. Right. You haven't necessarily said that I did what I did because I hoped I could make X number of more dollars. Right. You from what I'm learning, again, third person looking in, I'm the guy sitting in the back of the room, but you did this because you felt this in your core, that this is who you were. These were the stories you wanted to hear. These are the stories you wanted to tell. This was the information that you wanted to disseminate. Stop me if I'm wrong, but again, this was just something more important to you as a person, as Chris Williams, as opposed to Chris Williams, the one with the debit and credit sheet, right?
Yeah, you're half right. And the reason why you're half right is because you're 100% right about that half.
Okay.
I'm curious. What I learned was that I'm also monetizable. That's what I learned.
Talk about that right there. I'm not even looking at my notes now. I've got a full line of topics and run of show here. We going into a whole nother world. Monetizable.
So there's two people I will say that help me understand this. My wife is one of the dopest people I've ever met.
Shouts out to the missus.
Beyond belief. Like, I am not the guy today that I was when I met her. And it's a lot because, one, my wife has been an entrepreneur for more than 17 years. When I met my wife, I was intimidated because, one, nothing I had was pale in comparison to her life. Her life, she was good without me. She didn't need Chris. That ain't second form. Don't look, bro. Her life good. She can travel the world. She don't my money was not enough, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I had a nice swift kick of a high heel boot to my ego
Right.
because I couldn't impress her. That wasn't my thing, right? I wasn't gonna be able to impress her. But I learned so much about the way she operated. My wife has an iron stomach when it comes to taking risks. She can see stuff that, because she's been an entrepreneur for so long, she was operating as a single mama for 10 years by herself.
Wow.
What she couldn't do that I did, because I ask a lot of questions, was understand, like, honey, slow down. It's like, why do you do it that way? What makes you, like, why would you make that decision right there? Like, you got all this chaos on. How is it you able to stay like emotionally stable? Like, I'm that dude, like, I'm just asking questions. And what I realized was my wife, it wasn't necessarily she was a unicorn, but there's many people like her, but they don't understand just how different that is from the person who works corporate, right?
Got
Like,
you. Yeah. No. Okay.
you know
Got
what I
you.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm comfortable because I collected 2-week paycheck, right? I'm comfortable because I got somebody telling me what to do. I don't have to go out there and make it happen every day.
Wow. Wow. So
You know what I mean?
that's a different mindset as well. And I asked this question, and shouts out to everyone in the comments. I'm gonna put these up there. Kevin Cox, you got a great comment there. I'm gonna put that up in a second. But do you think that mindset is innate, or is that something that you can learn? Right? Is that something that you could have learned in school to understand that rationale? Or is that just something that's just how Chris Williams is born?
School can't teach you adversity. It does not teach you financial literacy. It does not teach you some of the big intangibles that entrepreneurship will. It'll never teach you that.
And they
By the
try
way,
to. They trying to.
they're trying to,
Mm-hmm.
but it's theory.
Okay, there you go. Then again, I'm
Right?
being devil's advocate. I'm just coming
Yeah.
up here trying to be the doubting Thomas just to get the
No,
dialogue.
no,
But
no.
that's a great quote.
They
Comment there.
are.
Yeah.
There's business schools talking business. But unless they are literally giving you the opportunity to go out here and actually run a real business, it's hard for you to learn some of those intangibles, right? I'll give you a perfect example. My wife used to get so mad at me about 2 years ago. She like angry. I'm talking about because I couldn't do this one thing that entrepreneurs do every day. She was like, Chris, you take too doggone long to make a decision.
Mm.
You overanalyze. You taking too long. She like,
Mm.
babe, when I bring you something, or when I bring a deal to you, or it's time to move. She like, now I done already figured it out. You the one, you taking too long. And I was like, okay, well, I ain't trying to frustrate her, but what is she talking about? And she said, this is the key to me that turned the light on for me. She said, Chris, what is your success criteria to get to a yes? And I was like, oh, snap. I ain't never had one. Like, what are the 3 top questions that, as long as you say yes to them 3, it's a go?
It's a go. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. In corporate America, what are we taught? Make sure all your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Yeah. My wife will be at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, jump off and figure out how to make a plane on the way down.
Come on with it now. Man, go ahead, Mrs. But see,
that's my wife. Like, she don't need, like, you know what I mean? Like, it matches her criteria. It sounds like a good deal. She out. Here's the other thing my wife also knows. This is something that, again, school can't teach you this.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurs have a default rebound inside of them. Even if they slap at rock bottom, they could fall flat on their face. I guarantee you this, if they're a real entrepreneur, they'll be back. How do I know? Go listen to all the stories of these people who are being successful.
That's right.
How many times they done failed, lost millions.
Yeah. They're not successful until they fail, and they're successful because they failed. A lot, 90+% of them. But I also think that Mr. Cox here is right? Not everyone is built for this, right? Because that risk averseness, even like investing in stocks, investing in cryptocurrency, we've been on shows talking about that. I mean, that's just not something that everyone is built for. Not everyone has comfort level, has the ability, has a desire to want to go out and chart their own path. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. We got to have the 1, 2, 3% of folks who want to go out there and do like my old boss did and put a dent in the universe. That's an old Steve Jobs quote, right? So
yeah,
your wife being one of those people who, again, will jump off of the mountain and figure out how to land safely on the way down. There still needs to be the person who says, you know what, before I jump, I'm gonna make sure there's a mattress down there, make sure I got 4 parachutes
100%.
on, those kind of things. And that's how we have some yin and yang and some equilibrium in the planet. But keep on going, man. That's real. That's real world. I love that. Keep going.
Yeah, and she, so I was learning while I'm watching her like run her engine. Even small things like because I couldn't impress her. It was like, well, how do I get in her world? And I realized, so this ain't a relationship conversation, but y'all haven't read 5 love languages. You probably should go read that to understand your spouse, because for my wife, she's an acts of service person. So you're not going to get my wife's attention if you can't do like the simple things to serve what moves her needle. You know how I got my wife's attention? One day, I happened to literally call her, and I asked always the dumb question. I had to learn how to stop asking her a dumb question. She entrepreneur. I'm always asking, hey, what you doing right now? Are you busy? I got something going on all the time. Don't ask me that dumb question, right?
Always
my
busy.
wife, right? But I said, hey, I know you got stuff going on. She's like, well, I got to go do this. I got to go pick up the kids. They got soccer. I got to take them from soccer. I got to get them home. I said, I tell you what, how about I go get them? Would that save you time? And I'll get them to the house and you can get everything else done. Light bulb went off for my wife.
Wow.
See, I learned to serve real early in life before I met my wife. And I realized that I could combine serving with what I do in coaching, and I can actually sit in that space for some people who need a guide, right? Go look at any Star Wars movie.
Okay.
Yoda ain't doing what Skywalker doing and Obi-Wan doing.
Make it plain, brother. Go ahead and make it plain.
Yoda is a great guide. And guess what? He don't say a whole lot, but if he opens his mouth, you probably should listen, right? And that's so to the point of me being monetizable, I found out from my business coach, Chris, you're actually monetizable. Like you could really turn this into something and serve people at a very high level.
Got you.
Because you actually give a crap about their life.
Okay.
Right? Like there's some people who just takers, right? And I listen, they stick out like a sore thumb, right?
Yeah.
There's some people, right? You can tell that they're doing what they do because they care about the person actually seeing themselves win. Right? Like you do what you do because you're not. James Hicks ain't here just to be blowing smoke. James is like, look, if we can see this vision I got, and if we all move in this direction,
we gonna make it happen.
We might change a generation.
We gonna make it happen, brother. That's it.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So somebody's more likely to do business with you because they're like, dang, he actually gonna guide me through. Yeah, that's what I like to do, right? Yeah. So my coach, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on coaching. I mean, just in the last year and a half alone, my wife and I done spent, I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying I'm about learning. Right. My wife taught me you have to invest in your education, not the education of a PhD, not the education of, some certifications, which are fine. You should get those. Those are important. But you need, I learned for Chris, I needed a business coach in certain arenas in life.
Right.
So in the last year, I've spent over $200,000 in just business coaching.
And you've been traveling. I've been watching. You've been going to different conferences, different seminars, and things like that, and learning from the best of the best. And again, that proves that you care about your craft, right? And again, as the title of this session was talking about, understanding and trusting the process, understanding the hustle, what it takes to really succeed. Yeah, you can talk about it, but you got to put that action behind it. And the fact that you truly care about not just you, right? You take yourself out of it, you get out of your own way, and then it's the client or it's the individual, it's the organization, it's the team that you're talking to that you actually show some empathy for. I think that's a sign of success right there. Because again, you can always tell if someone's just blowing smoke. If someone's just here for the check, here for the Venmo, here for what the cat, whatever it may be, as opposed to building the networking, building the relationships, and helping someone succeed. So kudos to you on that. Let me folks, if you got any questions for Chris, definitely put them in the comments. Put a Q in front of it so I can get him queued up. But look, we just up here chopping it up and trying to learn from this visionary thinker in terms of all the stuff that he's working on. Let me ask you about your day, right? Because again, following what you do on a day-to-day basis, and again, that mindset, how you close today, right? I've got kind of my methodology and my things that I do to say, at the end of the day, I'm going to do these next things before I put my head on the pillow. I'm going to do these next 3 things tomorrow. I know a couple of the folks in here are Pomodoro folks. I'm one of the Eat the Frog, where I like to tackle the bigger thing first in the morning. So I write down those 3 big things that I want to tackle when I finally do get up in the morning and say, man, let me tackle this. What's kind of your mindset, your mentality that you can probably help people with shutting down today and then getting ready for the next day from a business perspective? Let's talk about it from that side first. And then let's see if we can weave that into, because I know a lot of my audience is also content creators as well, but how we can weave that into content creation.
Yeah. Man, that's a good question. I would say winding down the day for me is about somewhat of the next day, but also here's a trap I think a lot of entrepreneurs fall into. We don't know how to press pause, or we don't know where to press pause at the end of the night, right?
Ooh.
So I've learned to do
is that because you're still looking at your phone when you?
Is that not even that? It's not even that.
Yeah.
I would say it's more about like going, okay, if I'm working on something, like if I'm editing a video, right?
Yeah.
If I'm working on a project, if I'm working on something that I'm doing, or I'm studying, right? For me, I end my night studying something. Either more than likely I'm reading something. So I end my night studying, because when I wake up in the morning, the first thing is time with my wife and my health. Those 2 things first. So 5:05, my alarm goes off. I'm at the gym by 5:45. I'm out of there by 6:50. Takes me about 18 minutes to get home. I'm at the crib, shower. My wife and I kind of run through like, all right, what's going on? Because we have calendars that other people can see into, because we're always like moving stuff around, so people know like if they can get us, if they can't, because our calendar is really live. So she and I'll kind of talk after we get back from the gym and like, all right, what you got? What's this going on? Do you need help here? And they're like, it's like 1, 2, 3 break. Like we because our meeting spot is in the kitchen. So it's like, all right, what we got going on? Where you at? All right, well, I got to go do this. Or, and with our boys, it's like, like one of them, my oldest right now, he's a lot of college trips. So my wife spent the last 2 weeks flying all over with him, going to different places. My youngest got prom this weekend. So I'm
in the same boat as you with all that. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, but we talk those things out. My wife and I do more planning probably than I've ever done in my entire life.
Okay.
Just because we have to. Like, if it ain't on our calendar, it does not exist.
Wow.
I'm saying no to more stuff that I get asked just to do on the fly because it don't fit in my calendar. And it's not so flippant to be like, oh, you must be somebody. No, I'm just a man who's choosing to be organized.
That's
and
what
really
I was
efficient with his time.
It's probably not it's not relevant to the goal of your household, right? If there's not an intrinsic value, right? We've got to learn to start saying no to some things, right? We want to be that person that wants to be the caring, wants to be the giving, wants to be the shoulder to lean on all the time, but you can't because you got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your sphere of influence. I can only take care of 4233 Wyman, right? The 4 folks that sit in here and then the extended but knowing when to say no, I like that, man. So I apologize for interrupting, but I wanted to get that out there too. Yeah,
it's and like real talk. So, audience, to y'all that don't know, the last time I actually had a conversation with James was probably a month and a half ago. before that was probably months before that. Not that we don't like each other. We just busy. Like we honestly have like lives, like stuff is really going on. So I catch James just like he catch me. I look up and I'm like, oh, he over. Oh, cool.
I hit him on a WhatsApp or something real quick.
The weekend, I was all on your stuff. I'm like, yo, he met. Yo, that's what's up. Like, but it's. I think here's the difference. An entrepreneur understands this. I learned this cold situation from a coach of mine. It took me about 2 months to figure out what he meant. And he said, Chris, I don't have friends. And I was like, what are you talking about? How you ain't got no friends? Like, you hang around people all the time. He's like, no. He said, I don't have friends. He said, I have business partners. And if we just so happen to become friends as we do business, okay. And I said,
wow, that's pretty profound right there.
I said, I got it.
Yeah.
Right? Like we can do business. Cool. We doing business. We making money, whatever. That don't mean we hanging out and barbecuing every Sunday night. That ain't happening. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But over time, right, we might, just because of the nature of the close proximity, right, we might learn something about each other, find out about some interest or whatever. But this is one thing that I found out that a lot of people don't like to talk about, but it's true. There's a lot of wealthy people that do business with people that they don't really even like. Meaning not in a bad way. It just means that there's a place that you and I like separate, right? Like whatever it is. But because you're smart in your deal and I'm smart on my deal and us coming together made this, it's all good.
Wow.
It's all good.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? I really
nothing
think
wrong with that at all.
You just wonder if the softer shelled or the thinner skinned person would find resistance in that or find fault in that and not be able to see the true meaning behind it, right? We're trying to progress forward, trying to get 1% better each month. And if you just want to be mushy and I don't know, I don't want to downplay it again as well, but we got to keep it moving, right?
Do you know every business wealthy person I know? Do you know when they enter into a business partnership, they've already saw the exit?
Wow. Okay.
They're not even, dude, like honestly, it's not about not working with that person. Think about what you see when you see partnerships and people getting together. It ain't because they like each other. They have a mutual interest that'll increase margins. Let's just come on, man.
No, it's true.
Right?
Look, make it plain.
And when that happens and we've met that number or more, we're exiting. We shake hands. I'm off to the next thing. That's what business people do. I've watched my wife literally go from this person in Morocco to this person in LA to this person and talk to them, and they get the business done. And when it's over, they shake hands. She off to somebody else. She don't talk to them for a whole 2 years until she see them at some event. It's all good.
Just keep it moving.
But that's hard for some people. And I'm a heart person too. I wear my heart on my sleeve. But I understand, again, that's something that school won't teach you that.
Mm-hmm.
School won't teach you to start making decisions quicker in that sense, right? Like, I'm not interested in whether or not you and I agree on cold potato salad or hot potato salad. I'm like, doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you're doing something egregious personally that, oh, by the way, this is the killer. This is how wealthy people look at it.
Yeah.
Unless what you're doing in your personal life is going to kill our brand.
Oh, there we go.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Right? How many times have you seen that happen in real life? Right? It didn't matter that the deal was going good or bad. The deal's going great until that person goes and drives 60 miles an hour in a 25 and kills somebody.
Yeah. Then there's a problem. We got to separate and
partnership split.
So folks, listen to this, right? Hopefully you got your pen and pad and hope you're taking some notes, because this, as Chris is saying, you're not going to get this piece of it in school. You're going to get the theory, you're going to get the behind the scenes, you're going to get the whiteboard presentations, but he's living that life, living that world, and as Kevin was saying, entrepreneurship may not be for everyone. Solopreneurship may not be for everyone. Stepping out from that corporate world, again, nothing wrong with working that. It's not even 9 to 5 anymore, whatever it is, 8 to 6 that people do. But doing what it is that we trying to do. And I always say trying because it's like when someone's asked me to give them a survey and give them rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. No one's going to get a 10. I'm going to give them a 9, right? Because there's always room for improvement, right? We're always pushing forward. So doing what it is that we are trying to do takes that gumption, takes that forward, just that forward lobe thinking, and just out of the box. All of those adjectives that not everyone is built for. This hustle is built for this rejection. Is built for jumping off of that mountain and not knowing how you're gonna land. You know you're gonna land, but just got to figure it out as you get there, and that's uncomfortable for a majority of society to get into. So I'm glad we're having this conversation about kind of the reality of what it takes, because a lot of us see it. We see folks doing it, driving the cars, living in the houses, buying the bars out and everything, or got the CEO titles, but the work behind getting to that point is something that's rarely talked about. Even if you go to a class and have a CEO come in, they're going to give you the 35,000 foot level presentation conversation. They're not going to give you, listen, I fell and tripped and lost everything twice before I made my first.
They're not even going to tell you that while they're giving you that presentation, their CFO is leaving them a message going, hey, we almost bankrupt. And there's a lawyer calling saying, hey, if we don't make this payment, we going to end up in court. And another listen, CEOs be standing in the middle of that fire and remain calm. That's the thing I've had to learn from my wife. Like, my wife could be like, there was times I'd be like, so babe, what's going on with the business? And she starts listing all of the nonsense that's going on in the moment. And I'm going, girl, how you keep hair on your head? And she's like, it's just Tuesday. Wow. She's like, okay, well, I can't get rattled. And what I realized was there's a common thread of a lot of determined entrepreneurs. That doesn't mean that's going to make them successful, but some of the good determined ones, they due north all day. Like it's not going to rattle them either way. You can't get them off their perch because something's going wrong. And this is something I was coaching some folks on recently. The kicker is you started a business to solve a problem.
Right.
So if you're not comfortable with problems all day,
there's something wrong here. You in the wrong field. You might want to go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's your job. If you said you provide a product or a service, then you've clearly identified a problem in the market and you're trying to solve it for said people. But guess what happens when you solve it for people? Another problem pops up.
I was going to say, you're not done. I was going to say, you're not done. All right. So that's now, life, bro. So now let's bring this back. So again, we talked about it at that macro level, specifically entrepreneurs, specifically solopreneurs. Again, I wanted to bring it back because we're both in the content creation ecosystem. And we're both pushing out a ton of content. And we're both pushing out, and I'm gonna talk to you. I'm not gonna be humble either, right? We're both pushing out quality content, right? And the fact that you got to do that in order to, I'm not gonna even say to stay relevant, but I'm gonna say to stay in front of your community, because you're providing the content for your community. And we're not doing, if anyone tells you they're doing this for themselves from a content creation perspective, they're in it for the wrong reason again as well, right? And they're doing it wrong. But we're providing the right content for our community. But how do you stay motivated to do those IG reels, to do those Facebook lives, to shoot the podcast, to do the YouTube live streams and things of that nature, when you know that it all has to be done? But when do you fit that into that schedule of, again, we're using all 24 hours of the day, and you got all these other things that are going on, right? How do you disseminate what goes out to where and what goes out when and why? If that makes sense.
Question. I look at it like this. If we got in the car right now with a full tank of expensive gas And
hold on, but
and
don't do that. Don't do that because both of us are all EV. Don't put that out there in these streets. You know.
we still have EV in this house. I bought my we were gonna get the EQS.
Yeah.
Let me say selfishly, Chris wanted the EQS.
Is that right? I test drove.
Yeah, my wife. I got my wife the new AMG from Mercedes, so she got the new SUV joint.
Oh my goodness!
So we have,
man.
But I got my Tesla, so I'm good.
I'm about to say, look, I done got my second one, so look, I'm all EV up in these streets. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, but here I go.
Yes,
again.
sir. So anyway, we
let me put you back on.
But if we got on the highway and never put in a destination, we're driving aimlessly. So the question I think everybody has to ask themselves is, first of all, where the heck am I going? Like, really? Like, why would you put out content? Like, I'm saying, start at the basic questions. Like, it's not deep. Like, honestly, why would you, for whatever your business, your product or service is, why are you putting out content? What's the purpose? Is it just to market? Is it just to, like, what is it? What's your reason? If you can answer that question, then you can ask the next question. Well, what platform or platforms serve my end game the best?
Okay.
Because not all platforms serve your end game the best.
True.
I'm not saying you can't be on all, but if you a solo, you better figure out where you gonna spend your time.
Yep.
Because you can't do it all. Okay. The next thing you got to do is then go, okay, what does my method look like? What is my madness for my content? Right. So I'll give you a perfect example of mine. A couple years ago, when we did the 30-day, I did the 30-day post, 30-day YouTube challenge. For every day I did a video, I dropped a video for 30 days straight. Right.
Okay. This
is what I learned doing that. YouTube is going to be my movie. But before somebody pays a ticket to go see a movie, what do they normally see first?
Trailers, commercials, advertisements. Right.
So Instagram and Facebook are my movie trailers.
Go ahead, brother. Come on now.
See?
Yeah.
That's my movie trailer. Now, I'm starting to leverage TikTok, but I ain't done nothing on TikTok. What I'm doing is, here's what I know. When I post, when I make my video, that video can be broken 4 different ways and repurposed about nowadays 21 different times. So when I do an interview or when I do one of my videos, I know I can pull out a quick 15-second here, drop it in a reel, drop it on TikTok. A 3-minute, drop it here, drop it there, right? Drop the full. I can do a teaser, right? Like, because I've done it once. Now all I'm doing is just splitting it between my trailers, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. They're just my trailers. I use LinkedIn because I'm talking to successfully discontent corporate professionals.
Right.
They're unfulfilled people working a job. Some of them are unfulfilled at a high level. They finally reach that rung and they're like,
lonely.
This ain't it.
They sitting in that corner office by themselves. My goodness. Okay. Hold on. Chime in, Cher Jones. If you still here, because I know you deal with a lot of folks on LinkedIn. Talk to us about, is that how folks are in them corner offices? Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, it's for real. Like, there's some people who've gotten, or here's the ones that I'm finding even more. They're at a point in their career where they could go to the next level, but guess what they figured out? I don't want that. Now they frustrated. Because they're like, I could go get it, but I know what it's going to cost me, and I don't want to have to pay that price.
Don't want that smoke. Yeah.
And it's not a bad thing. Here's what they're warring with. The quality of what I really want out of life ain't found in working 15, 16 hours a day behind the desk.
Love that. I love that. Yeah.
And I want more. That's where I found my niche to help successful corporate professionals build side businesses, because the one thing that a corporate professional cannot get out of the best training they can get out of their job is what building a side business will teach you. And I show people how to build that side business, and they start showing up in 10x and what they doing at their job.
Hopefully, folks, y'all got the aha moment. So I just took Chris on a trip, and I bet folks are wondering why I asked you to go down that path. But here it is again. I wanted to bring it back to that exact point. We started out talking about the drive, the hustle, the why. We are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, business-minded folks. We're also within the same environment from a content creation perspective. And the synergy, what you just broke out was the synergy that it takes to do both sides of this coin, right? To be in the content creation side, to be an entrepreneur, it takes that drive, it takes that hustle, it takes someone supporting you like a coach. It takes someone who has been there, fallen down once or twice, to be able to say, Chris, Kevin, don't do this. Go this route because this may be more advantageous. There was method behind my madness, so I'm glad that it kind of came fruition full circle there. So I'm tapping myself on the shoulder because it didn't go sideways.
Hey, bro, that's what this your world.
The world according to James. Watch out now. Go ahead, brother.
There you go.
Now, I wanted to ask about time. So a day in a life, right? And then we touched on a couple of things. I want to talk about a day-to-day management of time. We talked about that. A day-to-day management of mind, body, and relationships. Now, because you touched on the health thing, and you touched on the fitness and the training thing. I know the backstory on that, and you don't have to go into the whole thing if you don't want to. But again, I think that's relevant. I think that's important that we take care of all of those aspects, right? Time, mind, body, and the relationships. You already talked on the relationships piece, but you gotta be conscious, I think. And again, look, I've got one finger pointing at you, three fingers pointing back at me as well to know, look, man, I got to take care of home as well. But again, how do you go about not taking the time, but make the time and take the time? Let me do that. Take the time and make the time for those four aspects, which are critical, right? And on a day-to-day basis. And you can't slip on them, right? Because and I've got that book. My wife made me read the book. She made me take a test. We took the love languages test. So look, I got a high B. I'm a good high B student. So
okay.
Cost me a Louis Vuitton bag, but we're not gonna get into that though.
All right.
So let me ask about it again. Day-to-day management. Time, mind, body, and relationships. Talk about again the fact that it's why it's important to get up at 5:05 in the morning, brother.
So full confession, I am a night owl. I had to learn this. I had to learn that Chris likes to stay up at night because his brain starts working, and I can create all kind of stuff at night. The problem is I am not being diligent with the time that I have early in the morning. I heard this quote one time. Shout out to Jalen Rose, former NBA basketball player. He said something one time that blew my mind. He said he learned very quickly that when you first start out and you're working your job, everybody teaches you get that 9 to 5, bro. You need to work that 9 to 5 and you're going to get somewhere. He said entrepreneurs who are successful work 5 to 9.
Come on now.
He said they get more done early in the morning before the world gets rocking than most people ever, right? And I kept hearing it. Now my wife, that girl will write a book at 4:30 in the morning. She be a wide open. I'm like, please leave me alone. Like,
stop making all that noise.
Yeah, she can roll, right? I am in the space where I'm maximizing my entire day because right now I'm in. It's that time. It's just a season. Doesn't mean it's gonna last forever. But to do the things that I'm trying to get done and built, it's just that season. I'm burning the candle at both ends. But here's the way I do it. Wellness I define in 4 ways: physical wellness, financial wellness, spiritual wellness, and environmental wellness. So what that means to me is, I told the story before. I lost 65 pounds. Or I had to. And the thing I always tell people is I thank God for my trainer. That was one of my coaches. Taught me how to eat, taught me how to think about my food, taught me how to not eat out of survival mode, because that's the way I grew up, because I grew up with no food. And so mama stuffed us because we didn't know when the next time we were going to eat. And I'm a grown man still eating that way. Some of y'all might get that later on when you leave this podcast. But the point is, I had to learn how to eat a different way, right? So he's still my coach, but at that time, a year and a half of busting my butt learning, it wasn't just about the physical side. It was my mindset behind going out to work out. It was my mindset behind the way I eat. It was my mindset around the gut health relationship between brain and body. Like, I learned a whole bunch about Chris. That's all. I just learned about me. So there was that. Then, so during the day, what happens is, like, now I'm down to, I only eat one meal a day, but I had to train myself that way.
Got you.
You have to train your mind and your body, because the thing that we forget, we think we're reacting. We have to react to our bodies. You actually have the literal ability to transform yourself. How do we know? People lose weight, gain weight. People do all kind of stuff all the time. That's how you know how powerful your decisions and actions are. Because you can just decide right now.
Yeah. Good point.
You can just decide right now. You're that powerful that you can tell your body, I don't care how you feel. We getting up and we going to walk for 2 miles a day. Don't care. You just go do it, right? But anyway, the point is that I also did a live not too long ago. I just dropped it. You can go find it. I did a live about structuring your day. So I recently restructured my day.
Okay.
Content days are on Monday. Tuesdays, I'm doing a lot of content days are Monday, and meetings are on Monday. Tuesday are distribution. So, put it all out there, right? On all my platforms. Wednesday is a meeting day plus more content. Thursday is some prep stuff. And then Friday, I'm putting together more things that I'm going to be a lot of planning stuff, and then more content. But I did that because I can't do it all, man.
Yeah.
And that's why I said in the beginning, you got to decide, when do you stop at night? What time?
Yeah.
What is the thing where you say, I don't care what else I could do, I'm stopping here? Because the trick that we fall into is we think we're supposed to get it all done before we go to bed. I don't agree with that, because the part of your health is getting sleep too.
Because that margin of utility actually declines after a certain period of time, to where you're not completely thinking right. So yeah, I love that. Yeah.
You're not. Yeah. And what you produce is going to be poor, and then you're going to be mad because it's not right. So, like, my homeboy, I hated the phone call. His youngest brother, 47 years old, died of a full heart attack. My neighbor, sister, died in her sleep, early 40s. And I'm not saying I don't know what all the background is. In some cases, though, y'all, we're running ourselves raggedy in the name of being busy and never being productive.
God, dog. Running ourselves ragged in the name of being busy, but never being productive.
Do you know how many times, James, you'll talk to people and you'll be like, man, how you doing? Oh, man, I'm just busy, man. What does busy mean?
Show me what you're doing. What you doing?
Yeah, like
I'm moving papers. I'm moving papers. No, but
right. I moved this piece of paper over here. Okay, well, that's not right. Like, when my wife calls me and she's upstairs in her office and she calls me and she's like, hey, babe, like, we always ask each other, like, are you in the middle of something?
Right.
Because normally we probably are.
Yeah.
I'm finishing up this. I got this done, right? Like, we respect the fact, because we assume yet you're always in the middle of something, right? Do you have 5 minutes? But we're just forcing ourselves to be more productive, right? Like, that I care more about my productivity than just being busy, right? If I'm not answering my phone, there's a reason.
Got you.
So
that's huge.
Yeah, that's the way we live in our life right now. Like, we're being intentional. I'm gonna tell you, guess what, y'all? It's exhausting as all get out, bro. When I lay down, I'm out. It's exhausting.
I've gotten to that point too. Listen, I'm I'm got a few extra years on you. I'm just gonna say I got more salt in the beard than you. And
Hey, you got a little more seasoning, brother.
I got a little. I'm seasoned. I've been around the sun 1 or 2 more times. I can't drink this stuff as much as I used to. This is the last cup at 7:00 my time right now, right? And this is coffee, y'all. Don't send me no hate mail, but right. But one thing that I like, and I'll let you keep going, but I like the fact that you said that you intentionally. I like the word intention. That you intentionally plan out your week as well. So I have actually recently done that as well. So Tuesday through Thursday are specifically geared towards pushing out content, and every other day is again meetings or administrative work or any things of that nature. But I'm live on camera or whatever doing this piece only Tuesday through Thursday. The weekends don't listen. For the most part, I'm shut down because that's family time. If we gonna head out of Dodge Friday afternoon and not come back till Sunday night, then look, I don't want to be bringing laptops. I don't want to be bringing. The only reason I'm bringing the phone is because I'm taking pictures. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's it's really good to hear someone else today. They've just reshuffled or reconfigured their week as well and made it again intentional in terms of how they make themselves available to others. That's the piece right there that I wanted to hear about.
And I will tell you this.
Look at this brother right here giving me a hard time. No, man, it's not, I do got the scotch over in the corner. It's looking at me. But
but they ain't sponsored the podcast yet, so they can't get in right now.
Not this one. You know, Jameson has not sponsored this one. I got to go get underneath the squat whack in about 2 hours. So no, I can't be messing with the Jameson. Me and that squat whack.
Right.
Go ahead.
Your show is apropos because it's called Perspectives and Focus. And here's the thing that most people don't realize: success is a thinking man and woman's game. You'll be hard pressed to find a successful person who didn't think strategically and put actual brain power behind the moves that they're making, the stuff that they got to do, the willingness to keep moving forward. Like you're not gonna find them because success is a thinking man and woman's game. The book is called Think and Grow Rich, not Sit on the Couch and Grow Rich, not Netflix and chill and grow rich. Like, that's not what it's called. It's called Think and Grow Rich. As a man thinketh, so is he. Upon this word, I will meditate day and night. That you literally have to turn on your brain because for the most part, the consumer side of us has taught us to be numb to thinking. How about this? You've been driving to work the same way every day. There's times you get to work or you get home, you don't even remember to drive. You do know your brain is built to create grooves so that it falls into what is known as like a pathway. They call it neural pathways. It's the lowest form of energy because now it's all on autopilot. It's muscle memory. We've heard that before, right? I just do stuff because your brain now has made a routine so good that it don't have to think anymore. That's why we don't mind thumb flicking. Our thumbs are the strongest thing on the planet right now because we all social media'd out, right?
Boy.
But it's because your brain doesn't have to think. When we want to watch football and basketball and all of that other stuff, it's the lowest energy that our brain has to use. You know when you got to turn your brain on? When there's a detour on your way to work and now you got to figure out how you can get there.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you're like, dang, I gotta I gotta figure out now, right?
Yeah.
But successful people are constantly turning their brain on. And they're constantly saying, I gotta sit here with a pen and a piece of paper and I gotta write down my schedule. What is it currently? What am I gonna change?
Yeah.
What am I not gonna do? What am I not gonna do? And what am I not gonna do? Right?
Say it again. Say it again for the folks like me in the back of the room. Yeah.
Bruh, like perfect example. So I'm reading my coach, my business coach. The man over 60 years old, he taught me one thing and it hit me like a ton of bricks. He was like, Chris, I don't know how you gonna become a successful business person. You don't even read, bruh.
Wow.
He slapped me around so quick. He was like, you ain't reading. He taught me how to read. Now I'm a grown man and I had to hear from another grown man how to read. You know why? So here's a book I'll recommend to everybody. It's called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. If you ain't never read this book before, I'm going to tell y'all right now, this book will change the way you think. I'm going to forewarn you. Don't pick this book up if you're not willing to have some moments, because it's going to challenge the way you do things. Like day one. All right.
So some of them awkward conversations with yourself, huh? Okay.
Yes. Oh, all day. You're gonna be in the corner crying, holding yourself like, I'm so sorry.
I done gone 40, 50 years, and Lord knows, it's not too late though, folks. It's not too late.
So here's the key. When we were having this conversation, and he was just coaching me. He's like, you don't read, dude. You're not. So you can't give from an empty well. Chris, you gotta do more reading. Here's what he taught me. Normally, I was the kid because of school, right? Because of school, you pick up a book, you read it from front to back, and you feel great because you read it, right? If you ask me 2 weeks later what's in this book, man, I don't know. Man, come on, man, let's stop. Let's stop.
You didn't internalize it. Yeah, there you go.
Ain't internalized nothing. What he taught me was a very key that successful people do. Successful people are reading many books because they use them as reference tools. See, they're reading for discovery of a particular thing that they're trying to figure out. They're trying to learn a principle. They're trying to put some things together. So what did I do? I'm probably right now, like I can go pull my stack over here. It's on the floor over here, but I have a full stack of books, and like I got books all right here. I got all kind of books, bro, including the Word of God.
Amen.
Books right here.
Yeah.
I got 2 books right here. I got 4 books on the floor and another. Bro, I'm reading like 15 books right now at one time. Now, some people will go, Chris, how do you do that? It's easy when you know where you're going. When you don't read the book for completion, but you're looking at chapters and going, I need that principle right now. I need this. Oh, this is going to help me with the way I'm laying out some content for my people so that they can have what they need. I'm going to go do the work. If I put in the work, then what I give to other people is going to come from a different place. Thus, they will follow me.
Ooh-wee. Come on now. Andrew Nixon said, I'm getting smarter just because I stepped into the room. And you came in at the right time, because Chris Williams is dropping. That's heavy right there. That's heavy right there. Read to internalize.
I learn to read. That's all. Like, listen, I love LeVar Burton, but he should have completed that Reading Rainbow. Like, listen, man, we all grew up singing it. It was great. And it got us, loving, picking up a book. But we weren't reading to, like, why aren't we reading fatherhood books? Why aren't we reading relationship books?
Yes.
Why aren't we reading books that'll help you with your mindset? Why aren't we reading, like, stop reading to completion? Read for a reason.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you a question about that, but I don't want to let this particular comment go through. And look, man, we said we was gonna go 30, 45 minutes. I don't know what time it is now, but Kevin Cox put out an amazing comment here. He says, autopilot is dangerous when you are trying to grow.
100%.
That right there is the quote of the day right there. Autopilot, listen, folks, it's dangerous when you're trying to grow. When you don't let the mind grow, when you don't let the mind, when you don't shake it up. We don't do muscle confusion. Talk about it, right? Yeah. We in the gym, we training, muscle confusion. Just that's exactly what it is.
I'm going to tell you why it's dangerous. And I'm glad. Thank you for saying that, sir. Thank you. Because here's the reality, especially as an entrepreneur. In life, there's always 3 other people with you in your mental car. Fear, doubt, and insecurity. And here's what's happening. Here's what's happening. You're in the back seat in a straitjacket in a baby chair. And the 3 other folks are fighting for the wheel.
Visualize, folks. Visualize.
They're fighting, and you're going 100 miles an hour, crashing everywhere. Your relationships could be off kilter. You don't really know yourself really well. You're afraid to step out and ask questions. You don't like so we're having this internal tug of war with ourselves, but it's because you're not in control, because you're letting God. All right,
come on now, come with it. Come with it now. No,
I'm
yes,
not
you
here
are.
to. I'm not. Listen. I'm not.
Here we
I'm
go.
not here to
Now,
push religion on
now,
nobody. Listen, you
now
believe
it's
what you want to
perspectives
believe.
in focus. Now it's my show.
I have.
Now
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a foundation
Yes.
that says I believe in God and the way He designed us as unique human beings.
Yes, sir.
God literally built in 6 days a whole bunch of stuff by saying it, but then He paused and took His time with us. He didn't just say, "Hey, human be." He said, "No, I'm going to make you out of my image." And guess what we gonna do? When we craft it, I'm gonna show off my image by telling you, won't you go out there and go name all the animals? Won't you go out there and create some stuff? Won't you go out there and create another human? Why don't you go out there and continue to create? And God been showing off His unique design of His image ever since. But here's what happens. We forget we're made from a creator who said to us, go be fruitful and multiply. That wasn't just babies. I know we be saying that all the time, like, but they ain't listen, y'all.
Make it plain, brother. Like my pastor said,
It ain't welfare.
Plain.
All right,
Come on now.
what the game is. What he was saying is, I literally gave you all of the components so that you can go do as I've done because you are my image. Why is it that every human being has a unique fingerprint? You just think the stuff is just random. No, it's not. So why am I saying that? I'm saying that because when we get ourselves into these mental ruts where we're just aimlessly living, you're frustrating the very gift that God gave you. Because it should be just like exercising and working your muscle and creating muscle confusion and doing stuff. You should be exercising your gift to the point that it grows into something that is astronomical. Jeff Bezos just went and bought MGM for $8.5 billion on the cheap.
That's true.
Because the man has been constantly using his brain and buying assets. Don't get mad at Jeff Bezos. We should be upset at ourselves that we have not been exercising our brain as long as he has.
That's true. Doesn't have to be at that level, right? We don't have those means.
It don't have to be at that level. You're right.
But get out there and utilize a good friend of mine, Melanie Diane House, says, don't let your gifts go ungiven. Right?
Man, you cannot. Because I said this one day, and my son was late for school one morning. I was upset as usual. Drove him to school. I'm driving home. I drive past this same cemetery every day.
Okay.
But for some reason on this day, I stopped at the cemetery. And I'm like, what's at this cemetery? And it was like, audibly, I heard, and this was my translation, some people send their dreams to the cemetery ahead of their due date.
Make me
and
say
they
something.
live their lives as zombies.
Y'all listening to this, right? Y'all listening to this, right?
Here's what's crazy, James. Now this is just my weird brain because I had these moments.
Come with it.
I'm standing there looking. So I went live and I just did it in my stories. And what was interesting to me about it was, okay, if I'm sending my dreams ahead of that time, I have to literally suppress the very nature of God who made me a creator for the rest of my life. That's why you frustrated. That's why, and this is my challenge to Chris. I'm not telling anybody what you have to do. I'm telling you the way I'm just trying to give you like a little bit of like the way I process stuff. That's why I challenge myself in my own marriage. Because what I know is the day I married my wife, 5 years from now, I better be 5 years better. When you see me in 2018, James, the 2022 Chris Williams better be 3 years better. He better not be the same guy that you met in 2018. Because if that's the case, Chris, you're not moving. And here's what I found out. Most people live from the last thing that hurt them instead of towards the thing they ultimately want.
Ooh, wait. Man, we look, buckle in, man. We might keep going. Because listen, that right there, those, Bishop Oliver, thank you for joining us, sir. That right there, right, and I love this, right? Challenges, right? These are the conversations, and I just want to set some context and reset the room just a little bit. Cox talk about keep going, right? But these are the conversations that I really think, and this is what I wanted to talk about a minute ago. Why is it that men don't have these conversations about moving forward, about progression, about fellowship, about taking care of each other, about support, all of those things? Why is it we're so stubborn? I can guarantee you, your wife has a group of partners that she hangs out with. She's got her clique, she's got her friends, and they go out and they take care of themselves, and they go out and they talk and they, converse and things of that, and she's whole and she's good. Why is it so difficult for men to man up and have these conversations amongst ourselves? Why is it so hard for, and I'm not saying me, but why is it so hard for me to call you, Chris, in the middle of the night? And I understand not me, because I did this to all y'all last night at about 11 o'clock at night. Why is it so hard to call out and say, Chris, you doing okay? Is there anything that I can help you with? I mean, what's going good? What's good? How can we help? Right? Why is that such a challenge for males? This is something that I debate with all the time, and I'm trying to change the conversation and change the tide, because we don't take care of ourselves. Again, this is one of those awkward conversations. I talk a lot about mental health. I talk about social impact, and also talk about men taking care of themselves from a mental, spiritual, physical, financial perspective. Why are we so slow?
Because unfortunately, many of us grew up surviving, and you don't turn off survival. It just morphs. It matures. So
explain that.
It's our programming. Like I grew up in a poor neighborhood. I grew up, mama worked 9 to 5, 6:30 to 11 every day. My mama didn't come to no basketball game, no track meets. She barely made it to my 8th grade and high school graduation because she had to work. Not knocking my mom. I'm just saying life wasn't easy, man. And so when you grow up in these toxic environments, when you grow up surviving, we think because we're no longer there, it's gone. No, it's still in you if you're not processing. Like if you don't, I went to counseling for 3.5 years of my life. I even think about going back just to get the checkup. You know how we take our car in? Why we take our car in more times to go check in on us?
Come on. That's
stupid.
Anyway. Oh shoot! Let me drop some more sound effects. Boy, come on now.
I'm just saying, like I literally think about this stuff because I'm going, am I healthy enough for my wife?
Wow.
Am I healthy enough to manage the money? Am I healthy enough that when things go wrong, do I know my emotional design and my makeup and where I got flaws so I can tell my wife, hey, babe, hold me accountable over here because am I healthy enough to lay down with her and go, babe, I don't know what I'm doing? Am I healthy enough to say, yo, I'm good. I can go grab another brother, right? You don't know sometimes. Sometimes you don't know, right? Like, am I healthy enough that if James called me and said, hey, Chris, I saw you posted something, you better take that down right now. Am I healthy enough to realize he ain't saying it because he's trying to be mean? He's trying to protect me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I think what happens is because we grow up surviving and we grow up being taught, this is just me, I personally believe we're taught out of God's design for relationship. We're taught by media more than the way God designed. Look at any story in the Bible and look at, especially when Jesus was walking, look at how his relationships was while he was walking the earth. What part was he interested in a person walking solo? What part was he interested in, like, well, go on over there with that? I ain't trying to hear that. I'm over here with my thing.
Right.
What part? What part was he willing to do that? What part after he left and gave his spirit did they not go and take care of the people? What part? Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if I look at the real design, the way God designed relationships, and I look at the way sometimes we do it, I'm like, that's not how it was meant to be. It was meant that I should have a direct connection, mental, spiritual signal to James if something's going on, and I can pick it up real quick and go, hey, I need to call my brother.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong. I don't need to know. Yeah. I need to call him.
You just know something. It's time to make that call. Right. I hear you. I get you.
Because guess who do have it? Women good at that, bro.
That's what I'm talking.
Bro. A woman will call, like, yo, a woman will pull your coattail real quick and be like, hey,
I've been
just want you to
pulled
know
many
XYZ.
times. Yeah.
And I need you to like, okay, cool. All right. And you know those moments because you know not to argue with them. You like, all right, well, all right. If she coming for a reason.
Yeah.
We got to develop that. I don't think it's a woman thing. I think we're just out of tune.
That's it.
That's all.
That's it. So here's the challenge, and I want to bring this comment up before I make this, and hopefully I don't forget. I'm getting old. Quint's talking about social media now for many probably also really hinders things. Safe space of being home and alone can be hard for many when they can't detach from that part of life. That's a very interesting point. That's a very interesting point right there, brother. Good Lord. That's 3 hours conversation right there. I see. There you go. 53 years old. I forgot what I was going to say. The challenge for us that I want to put out there, and again, y'all saw it. I'm not making this up. You can check you see it on your WhatsApp from last night, 11:30 at night. I really want to challenge men to reach out to folks within their sphere of influence, within their circles, and just honestly, truthfully, consciously, just check in on your brothers. Right, just don't do it for any ulterior motive. Do it strictly from the heart because you care. Because I can guarantee your homie, your partner, your friend, your dude that you haven't seen or talked to, and I'm really conscious of this, especially with the way that the world is for these last 2 years. When the planet stopped, a lot of folks went through even more of a mental crises from being separated from friends, relationships, and things of that nature. So I really want to challenge folks who are listening to this. If you're getting value from this conversation, and I see it in the comments that folks are loving the context that you're bringing, reach out to a brother, reach out to someone that you know that you haven't talked to in a while. Send them a text. If you don't feel comfortable calling them, send a text message, send an email, but do something, because I know you're thinking about them. Because before you know it, unfortunately, that person is not going to be on the other end of that line. They're not going to be at the other end of that phone, and it's going to be too late. Don't mess around and wait before it's too long.
Somebody told me a great quote. One of my business partners, they said, I am enough. I just didn't do enough. And I think that has stuck with me all pandemic. If for nothing else, but seeing too many people either lose their life or take their own life.
Yeah.
Y'all take that for what it's worth. But listen, man, I am, and I guess I'm more aware of it because I'm just trying to make sure I'm healthy. If I don't put my oxygen mask on first, I can't help you. Right?
Yeah.
I can't. Ain't nothing I can do. I'm gonna pass out before I come help you. So I'm realizing, like, yeah, I want to achieve a lot. Of course I do. Who doesn't, man?
Right.
Like, I want to achieve a lot. But I think you got to achieve in phases, and you got to know what real achievement is. Like, some of us don't understand. Part of the reason why we might not be getting the monetary blessing that we want is because we haven't become the person that can have that yet.
Wow, we're not ready for it.
By the way, that's a spiritual thing. That has nothing to do.
I was getting ready to say, I was getting ready to go down that road. Yeah.
I don't want nobody to like feel like, oh, but I'm working hard. Do you know you could be working hard at the wrong thing?
Putting all this time. Okay, now putting all this effort in.
It ain't getting you nowhere. So now what? Now you frustrated because you've been working so hard?
You mad at yourself?
How that work?
You mad? You know what I'm saying? I'm mad at Chris because I'm not doing right. No, you just doing the wrong thing, James, and you know better. Eight out of 10 times, we know better. We know when we going down a dead end street.
Yep, and that's the crazy part. Like, to keep with your driving analogy, you know that when you put in the GPS and it tells you to get off of this exit, but you keep going because you want to go your way. Okay, fine. Don't get mad at the GPS though, bro. Like, it ain't.
Don't get mad because we got to reroute and it's going to take you longer to get to your destination because you wanted to do it your way.
By the way, God had a GPS for the children of Israel when he brought them out of Egypt, and that's why a 7-day journey took 40 years. We can talk about that later, though.
This man, right? Let's see, y'all thought we was playing, man. Ooh.
We talk about that later. There's a whole principle behind that. Like that scares me. I'm saying about life.
Yes.
Meaning like, so I like, man.
We're gonna do a panel and discussion with that because I'm gonna bring in all you minds, all you high end scholars, and we're gonna talk about that. Listen, brother, this has been fantastic. I want to key in on one last thing here before we go, because again, you're doing some things on a professional side which are commendable, just amazing, right? And today, kind of as I prefaced before we went online, you had something in your Facebook story where you mentioned, and again, I'm a quote, you are getting ready to go somewhere in your live streams. Now, you are getting ready to go somewhere in your live streams. Give us a preview of what you can. I don't want you to. You don't have to let the whole cat out the bag. You don't have to go non-disclosure. But tell us where your mindset is going. Tell us where you got that navigation pointed, if you don't mind.
It's my business coach. I will not reveal my business coach right now, just because I right now I can't reveal that part. But I will say this. I have learned. I mentioned this earlier, and I said I found that I'm monetizable. The reason why everybody has an opportunity to build something great in their own life and create lasting change is because you have your own thoughts. You are one of 7.4 billion people on the planet. Yes, everybody could talk about success, but they ain't you. Yes, everybody could talk about within your particular realm of work, but they're not you. And too many of us are not willing to be us and stand on that thing and go out there and present ourselves to the world. And I said today on my live that I was with my business coach this week. I was doing some stuff, and it dawned on me, and I was like, oh, there's something that some people don't realize that I could help them see that I now figured out. So if you so dare to join me when I go live from now on, whether it's on my stories or whether it's in Facebook, YouTube, whatever, you're going to have to be there live. There will be no replays. But I'm going to tell you this. What I'm about to unpack and what I'm about to share will be business things that I am learning from some very wealthy people and opportunities that give us the chance in our own lives to take the next step. There's a book I'm going to recommend everybody read. It's 37 pages, by the way, so don't short circuit because I told you to read a book. It's called U Squared. It's a very thin book. But I want you to read that before you join one of my next lives. Because when you get on there and you see what I'm talking about, you're going to realize real quick, oh, he's doing something different. Yeah. And it's only going to be live. I will tell people how they will be able to get access to the lives at a much later date. But I'm getting ready to do some stuff that I have not yet shared. I got some new things that I've been working on. And I was like, man, I was going to wait until I put together a different challenge to add some stuff. But I was like, nah, people need to get this information now. I need to give people the opportunity to go and test this stuff for themselves.
Yeah.
And go get your own doggone results. So that way you can prove to yourself that you're right, not prove me. Do you realize? I know I keep bringing up these principles, but I'm reading the Bible and I'm reading some of these other books, so this stuff it just hits me. Do you realize Jesus sent his spirit not to make himself look good, but to prove that you could do it too? Go back to when go back to when the apostles, they could not drive out the spirit, and he said, man, y'all, how long it's gonna take y'all? Jesus was a little frustrated. He drove the spirit out. Okay, we move on. Right now, Jesus on the cross. He dies. 3 days later, he shows back up. Then he told him, I'm going to leave something with you. I'm going to leave you my spirit. Why? What's the one line you need to remember in that? because you shall do greater works. Now, if you're them at that time, you got to be thinking to yourself, hold on, Jesus, you done spit in somebody's face. You done like, hold on, brother, you done a lot now. Hold on, I'm gonna do what?
Yeah.
And when you read the Bible, boy, did they. And we've been doing it ever since. So what I'm going to be sharing in my live is showing you just how powerful you are. But I got to help you understand why. Part of our issue with, if you knew your expiration date, I guarantee you would live different.
Come on now. Because it could be tonight.
Deion Cole made a joke one day about this.
Yeah.
If you go watch his last special, he did it actually here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I went to go see it. It was dope. But he had a line in there, bro, that made me want to leave that place.
Wow.
He said, okay, most people live to they 70, right? He said, that's the average age. Well, if you 40, how many summers you got left? I said, oh.
Take the air out of the room, boy, because it make you think real quick.
Bruh.
Wow.
And we sitting around here talking about, oh, I got time. I'll do it next week. We don't understand just how much we're supposed to maximize that dash between born date and expiration date. Wow. Going back to what I said in the beginning. So I'm going to be sharing how you do that.
Awesome.
I'm going to show you. I'm going to be doing it live. My last one was kind of a tee up because I talked about the fact that multiple streams of income is a lie.
You did. I was writing notes down on napkins, and I said, "No, we gonna talk about this tonight for sure." I was writing down my note, and that's why I put up. I don't know if this is the best hub, your Linktree site, because it's got all of your links. So I will make sure that this is in the description, folks, so you can keep up with Chris from that side. His podcast is This is where it's happening as well. All of its video content. So the world according to Chris podcast, again, I will put that in the links as well, so you can follow this man, because again, hopefully you got some value out of this conversation, because this is again where I am really trying to raise that level, raise out of that noise, and have these types of hard-hitting conversations that either make a light come on, make you get mad, make you get frustrated, good, but make you want to jump into action. Right, make you want to jump into action. Where can we find you, Chris? Kevin is saying, I'll put this in the like I say in the comments, man. But tell you what, let's do this, Chris. Let's go. I'm gonna have you shut it down. Tell the folks how they can find you. But again, all of those links will be in the description. But I'm gonna have your link right here as well. So
yeah, my Linktree. You can find that. You can go on IG, the THE Christopher Williams. That's all of my stuff. Facebook, Instagram, youtube.com/TWAC. You can find me there, or the Christopher Williams. Either one goes to YouTube. That's where you can find my information. Is fairly simple, because my name is Chris Williams. I had to finagle some stuff and grab some stuff to make it simpler. But the Christopher Williams on IG. You go to my Linktree. It's got everything there. The show notes will be below this. And let me say this before we bounce, James, what you are doing today, 10 years from now, people will have to archive as a pinnacle in this space, because this is not the norm. One day it will be. But here's what's funny about the norm. We know we got electricity, but there's one person we got to point back to because we got it. That's how I see this space of what you're doing right now with perspectives and focus. That's what I see what you're doing today is there's going to be a time and space where this is normalized, right? And somebody's got to go, well, where did this start? Where are some of those anchors and some of those pillars that kind of kicked it off? And this is one of those spaces, man, like the interviews that you do, I'll even put it like this. The fact that you even open up a space for that to happen, right? So that people can talk about things and the audience can walk away with a new perspective, right? And I'll say this lastly. I am a fan of anybody who promotes diversity. And I mean that in every form that exists. I think it's time out for us looking for sameness. I don't think we're going to heal that way. I don't think we're going to get any better that way. I think it takes us listening to somebody else who doesn't think like us, who might not look like us, but that person has their hand out and they're extending it and they're saying, I'm willing, but you got to meet me halfway. Right? I'm telling you right now, if Oprah called my phone and say, Chris, I'm willing to give you 30 minutes, but you're going to have to come here to Indiana. I'm knocking on her door before we hang up. I'm not asking no questions.
Truth.
I'm not going to debate with her about what she said to me.
Truth.
And so I just applaud you for being a man in your own right. You stand your own ground. You've constantly been consistent, no matter what platform I've seen you on, no matter what you've done. It's noble, man. And I need you to keep doing this because I'm watching. I be paying attention and I be taking notes because I'm like, this brother, man. That there was one episode I was watching. I'll tell you about it offline, but I was watching one episode you was in, and I was like, I was getting ready to upload my episode and I didn't. I just tell you that because I was like, man, this guy over here, man. I thought I was doing something. This cat, man, he got me. Like I got to go back to the drawing board. But I'm saying that's why in my hashtag when I did the post I said collaboration, not competition, because you forced me to like, oh, you gotta think like this dude over here is like you're putting together a network. Like this is something that people are gonna watch. Do you realize that? Like gone are the days of USB and VHS. Y'all don't know about none of that.
Old school.
Y'all don't know about that.
Old school.
But
old school.
but this is content that gives life, and there's a whole new space for this kind of stuff, man. And you out here forcing the issue. That's what's crazy. Like,
yeah,
you forcing the issue.
I appreciate that. Bro. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And it's conscious. It's humbling to hear someone see the vision of what I'm striving to do 1% better every month, right? And so I appreciate you on that, folks. Listen, man, this is what it's all about. Chris Williams is in the building. Stay with him because this man is doing big things. He's going big places, and I thank you to the audience for joining. Please share this out because I can guarantee, you don't have to admit it, but I can guarantee you got some gem, some nugget from this conversation right here. And I will make sure that I bring Chris Williams back on after he drops these major bombs and on his live streams. Brother, I appreciate you. Stay on for a minute. Let's talk about it afterwards. Thank y'all. We out.